The low hum of the horizon's quantum drive vibrated through Dr. Marcus Reyes' bones, a constant reminder of how far they were from anything remotely familiar. 3 years into their deep space xenobiological research mission, the vessel had long since passed the boundaries of thoroughly mapped space, venturing into regions where star charts became nothing more than educated guesses. Marcus adjusted the calibration on his spectral analyzer, his dark fingers moving with the practiced precision of someone who had spent more time with scientific instruments than with other humans. The observation deck was his sanctuary, a vast, curved chamber of reinforced transparent aluminum that offered an uninterrupted view of the infinite darkness punctuated by distant stellar formations. Lieutenant Elena Kovacs approached, her boots making a soft rhythmic sound against the deck's metallic surface. "Anything interesting, Doc?" she asked, her Russian accent slightly softening the edges of her words. Marcus shook his head, a wry smile playing across his lips. "Just the usual cosmic background radiation and the occasional quantum fluctuation. Space is beautiful, but mostly it's just empty." Little did they know how dramatically that emptiness was about to change. The first sign was subtle, a microscopic distortion in the quantum field readings. Most would have dismissed it as a calibration error, but Marcus' instincts were finely tuned. He zoomed in on the data, fingers flying across the holographic interface. "Elena, get the captain," he said, his voice unnervingly calm. "We're detecting something unusual." Before she could respond, the ship's systems erupted in a cacophony of alerts. Quantum sensors blazed with impossible readings. The very fabric of space around them seemed to ripple and twist, like water disturbed by an unseen hand. And then they appeared. The alien vessel materialized with a suddenness that defied everything Marcus understood about spatial mechanics. It wasn't just large, it was monumentally massive, dwarfing the horizon like a whale might tower over a minnow. Its exterior was a complex lattice of crystalline structures that seemed to shift and breathe, reflecting light in colors that human eyes were never meant to perceive. "Quantum camouflage," Marcus whispered, more to himself than to anyone else. "They've been hiding in plain sight." Captain Roland Greenwood's voice crackled over the comm system. "All hands, prepare for potential first contact. This is not a drill." The next moments happened with terrifying speed. Tendrils of alien energy, Marcus couldn't even call them beams or rays, reached out from the massive vessel. They probed the horizon's defensive shields, not attacking, but examining, analyzing. "They're scanning us," Elena said, her earlier casualness replaced by a taut professionalism. Marcus watched in fascination as complex algorithmic patterns danced across his screens. The alien technology was so advanced it seemed almost magical, operating on principles that human science had only begun to theorize about. Then contact came. Not through radio waves or traditional communication methods, but through a direct quantum entanglement that felt more like a violent mental intrusion than any form of communication Marcus had ever experienced. Images, sensations, and incomprehensible data flooded his consciousness. Hunger. Curiosity. Predation. The alien consciousness regarded humanity as one might view an interesting specimen, part scientific curiosity, part potential sustenance. Marcus gripped the console, his body trembling from the psychic assault. He realized with a mix of terror and academic fascination that they were being assessed. Not just as a species, but as potential prey. The alien minds were complex, multi-layered entities that thought in dimensions beyond linear human comprehension. They seemed to be conducting a rapid, ruthless evaluation. Were humans worthy of study, of interaction? Or simply another source of biological energy? Something about Marcus' own genetic makeup seemed to cause particular interest. Where other humans might have registered as simple organic matter, he felt a more intricate examination happening. His mixed heritage, a combination of genetic backgrounds that made his biochemistry uniquely complex, was triggering an intense alien scrutiny. "Prepare defensive protocols," Captain Greenwood's voice cut through the quantum interference. We are not going to be. His words were cut short as the alien consciousness pressed harder, probing, analyzing, categorizing. And in that moment, Marcus Reyes understood that first contact was nothing like the diplomatic encounters depicted in historical simulations. This was a raw, primal interaction between two fundamentally different forms of intelligence, where survival and understanding hung in a delicate, terrifying balance. The universe, he realized, was far stranger and more dangerous than humanity had ever imagined. The transition was instantaneous and disorienting. One moment, Marcus had been on the bridge of the horizon, surrounded by the familiar hum of human technology. The next, he found himself in a space that defied every known principle of architecture and physics. Crystalline walls pulsed with an inner light that seemed to breathe, shifting between translucence and opacity. The environment wasn't just a room, it was a living organism, responding to unseen stimuli, adapting with each passing moment. Gravity felt different here, not weak or strong, but somehow malleable, as if space itself was a fluid concept. Marcus took stock of his situation. He was alone, or at least he appeared to be. His standard-issue research uniform had been replaced by something that felt like a second skin, a biomechanical membrane that seemed to interact with the surrounding environment. Sensors in his peripheral vision suggested the membrane was analyzing his physiological responses, translating them into some kind of communication. A sound, if it could be called a sound, reverberated through the space. It was more of a quantum vibration, a complex harmonic that carried meaning beyond human auditory perception. Marcus realized he could understand it, not through traditional language, but through a direct neural interface that felt both alien and intimately personal. Specimen, the vibration communicated, anomalous. Unexpected. He tried to respond, focusing his thoughts with the precision of years of scientific training. I am Dr. Marcus Reyes. We come in peace. We seek understanding. The response was immediate and multilayered. Images flooded his consciousness, glimpses of alien worlds, complex biological networks, evolutionary pathways that branched in directions no human scientist could have imagined. The aliens were showing him their history, their perspective, using a communication method that was simultaneously visual, emotional, and quantum-based. Marcus understood now that hunger didn't mean what humans conceptualized. For these beings, consumption was a form of knowledge acquisition. They didn't just eat, they absorbed information, genetic memories, entire evolutionary histories. His unique genetic makeup had triggered something unexpected in their assessment protocols. A section of the living wall transformed, creating a three-dimensional representation of his genetic structure. Markers that would seem inconsequential to human geneticists were highlighted with what felt like excitement from the alien consciousness. Genetic divergence, the quantum vibration communicated. Potential. Complexity. Hours, or what felt like hours in this timeless space, passed. Marcus was simultaneously a prisoner, a research subject, and something more. The aliens were studying him with an intensity that went beyond scientific curiosity. They were trying to understand not just his physical composition, but the very essence of human potential. Lieutenant Elena Kovacs and Captain Roland Greenwood were nowhere to be seen. Marcus hoped they were alive, perhaps undergoing similar examinations. The uncertainty was a constant undercurrent to his analytical observations. Suddenly, the environment shifted. The crystalline walls reorganized, creating what seemed like a negotiation space. Beings materialized, or perhaps they had always been there, just unperceived. They were not humanoid in any traditional sense. Imagine a living network of bioluminescent tendrils, each tendril a complex neural pathway capable of independent and collective thought. The lead entity, if such a term could be applied, extended a quantum-based appendage. It was a gesture of communication, of potential alliance. Potential, it communicated. Not consumption. Marcus realized something profound was happening. These beings, who had initially approached humanity as a potential food source, were now seeing something more. His genetic complexity, the intricate blend of human diversity represented in his DNA, had transformed their perspective. He was no longer just a specimen. He was a possibility. The negotiation had begun, but Marcus understood that this was more than a diplomatic exchange. This was a fundamental re-evaluation of what it meant to be an intelligent species in a vast, interconnected universe. As the crystalline walls continued to pulse and breathe around him, Marcus Reyes prepared himself for a conversation that would potentially redefine humanity's place in the cosmic ecosystem. The research facility defied every conventional understanding of scientific exploration. What humans might call laboratories were living, breathing ecosystems of knowledge, organic computational networks that pulsed with an intelligence far beyond mechanical instruments. Marcus found himself at the center of an intricate examination that was equal parts scientific investigation and spiritual revelation. The alien researchers, if such a term could adequately describe their nature, were not simply studying his genetic makeup. They were experiencing it, decoding the complex narrative written in his DNA with a depth and nuance that human science could never comprehend. Quantum-based imaging systems deconstructed his genetic structure into multidimensional representations. Strands of DNA became living narratives, each gene a chapter in a cosmic story of adaptation, survival, and potential. Marcus watched in a state of mesmerized scientific awe as his genetic history unfolded around him like a three-dimensional holographic manuscript. "Your lineage," communicated the primary researcher, a being composed of interconnected bioluminescent neural networks, is a convergence of adaptive potential. Images flooded Marcus' perception. He saw the migration patterns of his ancestors, his mother's indigenous South American lineage, his father's mixed African and European heritage. Each genetic marker told a story of survival, of populations that had navigated extreme challenges, of bloodlines that had absorbed and transformed through centuries of complex human history. The aliens were particularly fascinated by what humans would consider genetic mutations, or variations, what Marcus understood as the beautiful complexity of human genetic diversity. His unique genetic composition represented something far more than a simple biological blueprint. To these beings, he was a living testament to evolutionary adaptability. Humans categorized genetic variation as deviation, the quantum communication suggested. We recognize it as potential. A secondary researcher, a shimmering network of what appeared to be living algorithms, began to map the quantum potentialities within Marcus' genetic structure. They were not just examining what he was, but exploring the infinite branches of what he could become. Holographic projections surrounded him, showing potential genetic expressions. Some were familiar, variations of human physiology that might emerge under different environmental pressures. Others were so alien, so fundamentally transformed, that they challenged the very definition of human existence. Marcus realized this was more than a scientific examination. It was a dialogue, a profound conversation conducted through the language of genetic potential. Your species adapts, the researchers communicated. Not just physiologically, but conceptually. Each genetic variation is a potential solution to an unknown challenge. Hidden within his genetic code, they discovered markers of remarkable resilience. Genes that suggested extraordinary capabilities of cellular regeneration, neural plasticity, and environmental adaptation. What human geneticists might have overlooked as statistical anomalies, these alien researchers saw as revolutionary potential. The facility itself seemed to be alive, responding to the genetic narratives being uncovered. Walls shifted, creating visual representations of genetic potentialities. Marcus watched as potential evolutionary paths branched and merged, creating complex networks of possibility. We initially perceived your species as potential sustenance, the researchers communicated. Now we recognize you as potential collaborators in cosmic evolution. It was a fundamental shift in perspective. Where humans might see genetic variation as a curiosity or medical challenge, these beings recognized it as a form of universal creativity, a living, breathing language of adaptation and survival. Hours, or what felt like hours in this timeless space, passed. Marcus underwent examinations that transcended traditional scientific methodologies. His body became a living laboratory, his genetic structure a manuscript of potential waiting to be read. The most profound revelation came near the end of the examination. The researchers showed him something unexpected, genetic markers that suggested humanity's potential wasn't just about physical adaptation, but about conceptual evolution. The ability to reimagine not just survival, but the very nature of existence. You are not just a species, the quantum communication resonated. You are a living hypothesis of cosmic potential. As the examination concluded, Marcus understood that this encounter was far more than a first contact scenario. It was the beginning of a fundamental re-evaluation of what it meant to be an intelligent, evolving species in a universe far more complex and interconnected than humanity had ever imagined. The genetic intrigue had only just begun. The quantum negotiation chamber pulsed with an energy that defied human comprehension. Marcus Reyes stood at its center, no longer a prisoner or a mere specimen, but something entirely unexpected, a bridge between two fundamentally different forms of intelligent life. His genetic examination had transformed the alien's perception of humanity from potential prey to something far more complex. The diplomatic space around him was a living network of crystalline structures that responded to quantum fluctuations of thought and emotion, adapting with each moment of communication. You seek to understand our potential, Marcus projected, his thoughts now intertwined with the alien communication matrix. But have you considered what we might offer beyond genetic curiosity? The lead researcher, a complex neural network that existed simultaneously in multiple dimensional states, responded with a quantum burst of conceptual communication. Images, emotions, and abstract mathematical constructs merged into a single thought, curiosity mixed with a hint of challenge. Marcus had learned something profound during his examinations. These beings didn't just communicate, they experienced communication as a multidimensional exchange of potential realities. His unique genetic makeup allowed him to navigate this communication in ways no other human could. Our diversity is our strength, he communicated, showing them not just individual human stories, but collective human achievements. Moments of scientific breakthrough, artistic innovation, collective problem-solving, each memory a quantum thread demonstrating humanity's adaptive potential. The diplomatic space shifted. What had been a controlled examination environment transformed into a collaborative projection space. Holographic representations of human and alien technological developments began to interweave, creating complex networks of potential collaboration. Lieutenant Elena Kovacs and Captain Roland Greenwood, who had been silent participants in separate examination chambers, now joined the quantum communication network. Their presence added depth to Marcus' narrative, a collective human perspective that demonstrated both individual uniqueness and collective capability. We are not just a species to be studied, Marcus communicated. We are potential partners in cosmic evolution. The alien leadership, a collective consciousness that operated beyond individual identity, began to recalibrate their assessment. Humanity was no longer a simple biological curiosity or a potential food source. They were becoming something else entirely, a variable in a much larger cosmic equation. Strategic projections began to form within the communication matrix. The aliens showed Marcus potential collaborative scenarios, technological exchanges, scientific partnerships that could span multiple galactic regions. These were not simple trade negotiations, but quantum-level interactions that could fundamentally transform both species. Your genetic diversity, one of the researchers communicated, represents a form of adaptive intelligence we have rarely encountered. Not just biological adaptation, but conceptual flexibility. Marcus understood the profound nature of this communication. These beings saw genetic variation as a form of intelligence, a living, dynamic problem-solving mechanism that went far beyond traditional understanding of evolution. The diplomatic space began to generate potential future scenarios. Holographic projections showed human and alien technologies merging, creating solutions to challenges that neither species could solve independently. Quantum communication networks, adaptive environmental technologies, interstellar navigation systems that could leverage the unique strengths of both species. Captain Greenwood's quantum-translated communication added strategic depth. "We propose not conquest, not submission, but mutual exploration and development." The alien leadership's response was a complex quantum algorithm that translated to something between agreement and profound respect. They were recognizing humanity not as a lesser species, but as a potential cosmic partner. Marcus realized they were doing more than negotiating. They were rewriting the fundamental understanding of interspecies interaction. No longer was this about survival or consumption. This was about collaborative potential. As the negotiation chamber continued to pulse and transform, Marcus understood that he was no longer just representing humanity. He had become a living bridge between two fundamentally different forms of intelligent life, a bridge built on the complex, beautiful diversity of human genetic potential. The tables had turned. What began as a potential predatory encounter had transformed into a negotiation of cosmic proportions. The Galactic Convergence Station hung in the void between known star systems, a testament to the unprecedented alliance that had emerged from humanity's first contact. Crystalline structures of alien origin merged seamlessly with human architectural designs, creating a hybrid environment that symbolized the unprecedented collaboration. 5 years had passed since Marcus Reyes' fateful encounter with the quantum-based alien civilization. What had begun as a potential predatory interaction had transformed into the most significant diplomatic and scientific partnership in human history. Marcus stood at the central observation deck, his body subtly changed by the quantum interactions he had experienced. Microscopic neural networks, a result of prolonged alien communication, now integrated with his biological systems. He was still fundamentally human, but enhanced in ways that challenged every previous understanding of human potential. Around him, delegates from Earth and the alien civilization, whom humans had come to know as the Quantum Collective, finalized the details of their most ambitious joint project yet. A comprehensive interstellar exploration and adaptation initiative that would leverage the unique strengths of both species. Lieutenant Elena Kovacs, now a senior diplomatic liaison, approached Marcus. Her own body showed subtle signs of the transformative encounter, enhanced perceptual capabilities, a deeper connection to the quantum communication networks that now bridged their two civilizations. "The final protocols are ready," she said, her voice carrying both human warmth and the precise harmonic undertones of quantum communication. "Your genetic research team is set to begin the first collaborative xenoadaptation project." The project was revolutionary. Using the insights gained from Marcus' unique genetic structure, human and quantum collective scientists would develop adaptive technologies that could help species survive in extreme environments. It was more than scientific research, it was a cosmic problem-solving initiative that went beyond any single species' capabilities. Captain Roland Greenwood, now the primary human representative to the Quantum Collective, joined them. His presence carried the weight of a diplomatic breakthrough that had fundamentally altered humanity's place in the universe. "Who would have thought," he said, a hint of his earlier military precision still present in his voice, "that what began as a potential consumption scenario would become our greatest opportunity?" Marcus reflected on the journey. The Quantum Collective had initially viewed humanity as a potential source of biological energy. Now, they saw humans as dynamic, adaptive partners in a much larger cosmic ecosystem. His own genetic makeup, a complex tapestry of human diversity, had been the key to this transformation. The observation deck's walls shimmered, displaying holographic representations of ongoing collaborative projects. Adaptive environmental suits that could help species survive in previously uninhabitable planets. Communication networks that transcended traditional linguistic barriers. Quantum navigation systems that could traverse spatial dimensions previously thought impossible. A representative from the quantum collective approached, a living network of quantum-based intelligence that took a humanoid form for ease of interaction. Its presence was both familiar and utterly alien, a perfect representation of the alliance they had forged. The hypothesis of potential, the being communicated, has been confirmed. Marcus understood the profound nature of this statement. It wasn't just about scientific discovery or diplomatic success. It was a fundamental validation of the power of diversity, adaptation, and mutual understanding. The station around them continued to pulse with life, a living embodiment of what could be achieved when two fundamentally different forms of intelligence chose collaboration over conflict. Humans and the quantum collective moved together, their differences becoming their greatest strength. As stellar formations drifted past the observation deck, Marcus realized they had done more than establish first contact. They had rewritten the very rules of cosmic interaction. What had begun as a potential meal had become a partnership that would reshape the understanding of intelligence itself. The universe watched, and waited, for what would come next.